Welcome to another garden vlog. We're winding down for the season, or are we? We just bought a small order of mostly mulberries, and I still have like a respiratory infection. I'm on a Z-Pack right now for another 4 days after today, and I got a couple figs too. So I've never ordered from Ding Dong's Garden. Strange name. I guess it's an Asian lady that the family or the husband named the nursery after. So I guess they sell at farmers markets and stuff, the fruits, and they sell cuttings. Two unfortunately, a large selection of mulberries weren't available this season, like the Oz Turkey and Black Prince and several others. The other, unfortunately, is that I had a couple like figs and other things in my cart. They were available for shipping when I added to cart, and by the time I was ready to check out, they had already sold out. So they sell out the most rare stuff, like Black Madeira fig. I didn't think I'd stand a chance of getting that anyway, but there were some other fig cuttings that I wasn't able to get, and I probably could have got a lot of fig varieties, just randomly saying, well, I wouldn't mind trying this one, I wouldn't mind trying that one, trying to get out of those honey or sugar figs and get into some more flavorful figs. So what cultivars of stuff did I get? Okay, so a lot of them are ones I've already tried. I didn't have success with rooting or grafting last year. Shangri-La, Waukesa, Boysenberry. Those three we tried last year and didn't have any of them take. But we're also getting Delightful, Kip Parker, Grover's Best, and Galicia, plus three fig varieties. It looks like Macool, Macool, Palermo, and Teramo. So don't have the best luck rooting figs, and I don't really have enough like fig rootstock to graft really. So I didn't want to get a whole lot of figs that we may just have a big failure rate with. Maybe next year we'll have some little do some cuttings this year and have some ready next year for grafting. Grover's Best was recommended to me as one of the best figs in like north central Florida. Oz Turkey was also rated pretty good in this area. But, you know, we only got one of those. And Lawson Dawson was another one that, you know, from the description, it looked like it's one of the better ones too. And they didn't have it. You know, they weren't going to sell any this year. But Kip Parker is kind of like the cousin of that, I guess, you know, in terms of maybe flavor or something. But it's very possible that, you know, I could get some other mulberries from Fruitwood Nursery. You know, I don't think that Ding Dong's Garden has any of the true black mulberries, and we tried them last year, Black Beauty or something, and it just didn't take. So we need to get at least one true black mulberry, maybe a few to try, and hope we get at least one take. I may want to try Italian mulberry again because we didn't have any take. And let's see, maybe David Smith. It's probably about it. Ukrainian Giant didn't take, but they don't have any available, looks like, this season. Hopefully they release some later, maybe. But I do not just kind of farted around to try to do a root graft from a mulberry. The root is bigger, it's harder. The actual scion wood is softer and smaller, so we could only like match the cambium on one side. But this is just a root that broke off while I was trying to get another seedling out of the dirt. So
probably like a 30-40% chance of making it. So most likely not, but maybe this is our first time trying, so let's see how it goes. As I looked around the property today, I seen another pawpaw. This is a grafted one that has a single flower bud on it. This is one, as you can see, it hasn't really done well for us. It's probably been in the ground 10 years, and it has a little bit of growth. I think we tried to graft part of it onto another one last year that did not succeed. So we had 2 of the trademark varieties and another non-trademark grafted pawpaw. And over the years, we lost the tags to them and forgot what they were. So we marked the trees as 1, 2, and 3. And then last year, I think we tried to, back them up with a graft, at least on 2 of them. I can't remember which ones failed or which ones succeeded without going back and looking at the tags. But we might have had 2 of them fail and possibly 1 succeed. I can't remember. Again, that's something I'm going to have to look at tags and see what's dead, what's alive. And I'll see what comes out in the spring or early summer as far as new growth being pushed out. So here is a root sucker from one of mine. And I tried to do 3 there, but most likely it's dead. I don't see anything coming out of that tape, but I'm just going to let it stay. I'm not going to try to intentionally break it. And then we had Pandam here, which is obviously dead, that was grafted onto this. What was this, a Tennessee? Or it might have been a Tennessee seedling and not a root sucker. Then we had number 2 out of 3 here that actually produced its first flower last year. Again, we may have backed it up. There's nothing else put on it, so the 2 trademark ones would have been 2 Neil Peterson ones. But again, I don't know which ones were which. It's been way too long in the ground. But I want to show you guys something really cool, or it would be cool if it wasn't an invasive. So there is a naturally occurring variegated coral ardesia around all of these thousands and thousands of invasive coral ardesias. These guys apparently spread through root suckers. They spread through all these seeds they create. And even if it's only like 3% on my property, even if I clear these off, they're just thousands and thousands growing all over the properties surrounding mine on this fence line area here. And who knows how far back. So we got the red sun, what is it called? Chinese hawthorn here that still looks healthy and alive here. It's dropped its leaves. And we tried to, one didn't make it, one did really well. And then we had the red azarole down there. Probably can't see it. And it mostly died, but I did a scratch test like last week, and there's still some green on that scion piece, so it may actually come out. But bugs really did a number on it, and we're in pretty good shade here, so the sunlight shouldn't have had any effect, on making it stressed and all that stuff. But we'll see if it comes back. I really would like to get some gold azarole, but I think that's the second time I've tried azarole. One was already grafted, probably on English hawthorn or something from another nursery. Didn't make it, so I figured put it on mayhaw, so it's used to the wet ground here. We'll see. I'm not super, thinking it's going to do well, but maybe those Chinese hawthorns will do well on the mayhaw though. Here was that other one that didn't really take. I just kind of did it like a side veneer style graft. Yeah, and that's all right. We got 1 out of 2, but I think that they need pollinators. So I'm not sure if the mayhaw will pollinate or a parsley haw or anything else like that. So definitely want to try to get a second Chinese hawthorn that's genetically different. If anybody's wondering, the peaches and prunus, plums and all that stuff, and even the mayhaws, seeds that we put in the pots, if they've came up yet, they haven't. We did have armadillos or dogs or something that spilled over 1 or 2 of the pots a few times, and we never cracked the holes, the husks or whatever. But I did see some roots coming out of some of the either peaches or plums whether or not they can, crack through that husk in the spring or summer of this year. Crossing fingers, hoping so. They look like they're showing signs of life. But I do know like some of the mayhaws and stuff may take 18 months to 2 years to sprout. Maybe if you had a greenhouse or a heated mat or something under the seeds, they would do it in a shorter period of time. I'm not sure, based on the droughts and, wet and dry, if they could dry out and die. At this point, it's hard to tell. If they don't come out early spring or something, I'll probably put them in heavy shade, try to keep them moist when I can. But if we have another drought like last year, they're probably not going to make it. So back to pawpaws. So this was probably a Tennessee seedling here. Hasn't done much for us, and we put a number 2 on this guy, and it looks like it's healthy and alive and is doing okay. So here's one of the little jaboticabas we planted here. No tip burn or anything. We did have a few of the larger ones, I think. They got a little tip burn that was in more open areas, but these like heavily shaded areas here, trees everywhere, wetter areas, they seem to give them more protection. Of course, when they grow up to 2-3 feet, they're going to have more exposure to that Arctic air when we have these, freezes coming in. But so far, so good. With this tropical guava, we definitely had some, maybe whole limb dieback a few times, and we had some leaf tip burn here. And these guys, what I've noticed is a lot of people will go and water, like drench their plants right before freeze. But we've had, instances over the last 25 years or so where we'll have freezing rain or rain before freeze for a long period of time, and they still die. These guavas seem to like it after the freeze. They will droop, they will look like they're dying or dead, and as soon as we get like a long half day or full day of drizzling rain, they just perk up, and they so far have been good. And if we hit 25, 26 degrees, I don't know what's going to happen with them, but hopefully we don't get that. Hopefully we get some establishment. And, as you can see, we had a lot of issues just in a pot. A lot of this big main trunk dieback was already happening in a pot before it even got cold weather. So they love their water. That seems to be what heals them from cold damage. I'm back in the music room, and if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, a lot of times I'm back here when I don't want to disturb anybody else when they're sleeping or doing something else, so I can talk a little bit more freely and openly and not worrying about bothering somebody. So I just wanted to briefly kind of talk about, you may say, well, you've had these pawpaws in the ground 10, 12, 15 years. Why are they, 18 inches off the ground or 24 or 30 inches? Why aren't they 10, 12 foot, 15 foot tall? Why do they not have more suckers or suckers for the ones that haven't suckered at all? Why are these grafted, improved cultivars and potentially seedlings just not growing? Or if you're having the same difficulty in planting something that isn't growing or isn't surviving, is declining, getting smaller and lower to the ground over the years versus getting taller and taller, you may be asking, like, why or how can I find the perfect ground or soil for my pawpaws? Well, I haven't found the answer to what makes a pawpaw, happy. Sometimes you get lucky, and I've had 1 or 2 cases where I just put a seedling or whatever, like the Pandam, the Florida Panhandle seedling, in the ground, and it was happy and had good growth and even flowered at somewhere around that 3-ish year range in age, when other seedlings and grafted ones I've had I've had a few that have not flowered at all, quite a few seedlings, a few grafted ones that haven't flowered yet, although Last year we had one that had never flowered flower for the first time. This year we're having another one that never flowered before that has a single flower bud on it. Those were grafted ones. But that first Tennessee seedling, what I'm calling the Tennessee avocado, small fruit, kind of avocado / loquat taste. It was already several years old when I got it. Didn't do much for several years. Finally started shooting up 2 or 3 foot a year and eventually started flowering. And it was probably, I don't know, 12 plus years old maybe when they first flowered. Maybe closer to 15. I've seen people, post pictures and stuff from up north, 2, 3 states north of Florida, maybe more. They plant it in the ground, and they're like, they got a plant in the ground 2 to 3 years, and it's got, somewhere between okay and pretty amazing growth and full of flowers, fruiting. But something at least below the panhandle of Florida does not generally allow the plants to just do that significantly or consistently, I should say, because as I said, the Pandam orally did something like that. Maybe not to as good as it would have up north, but on almost all cases that did not happen for all of the pawpaw plants that I planted in the ground over the last 27, maybe going on 28 years now. And last year I sort of come up with the theory that if you get to that third level, so level 1, you plant something in the ground and it's dead, doesn't come out, or maybe it shoots some buds out and it doesn't come back the next year. Level 2, maybe it lasts a year, maybe it lasts 5 or 7 years, and it declines, dwindles down, and dies. 3 is the most likely case where I still have plants that are alive. Some of them haven't put on hardly any growth, but that's what happened with that Tennessee avocado. Eventually, it hit a point where it just started growing up and becoming a tree. But, it can also just be alive just enough so that it eventually pushes out root suckers. And when it root suckers, those root suckers can be higher than the parent plant that may be 10 or 12 years old within 2 years. One thing I can't really talk about is alkaline soil, because you might be saying, well, you're in Florida, isn't that sandy alkaline soil? Well, I'm in the border of swampland full of pine trees, oak trees, and flooding waters. So in my area, it's acidic soil, and I have planted trees in that acidic soil, up, down, the lowest area, the highest area, everywhere in between. I've also planted the trees in full sun to full shade and everywhere in between. Root dense areas, maybe not so root dense areas. So I think the areas with the highest density of like maybe sweet gums and camphors, they really didn't like. But I can't say for sure that anything in this acidic swamp muck soil indicates a guaranteed success or failure. A lot of failures happen actually. So it seems more like it's a numbers game. Is this year, when I plant this plant right over here or right over there, is it going to survive, thrive, or decline? With that said, last year I definitely came up to what I believe is my conclusion regarding planting these plants, these trees below the panhandle, and that is that you should wait to get grafted trees, and don't buy grafted trees at all. get seedlings that are cheap, or get seeds, cold stratify them, get them to sprout, survive, and thrive first. And if your seedlings do not take off but they survive for a long term, wait. Just wait. It's going to be a big waiting game. It may be 3-5 years, it might be 10 or 12 years. You'll eventually have suckers, and those suckers will usually take off way more than the main tree, unless you get lucky every once in a while and have one that just takes off. Then you can go buy your scion wood for $5 a piece or whatever, get 2 to 3 grafts in a piece of scion wood, and hopefully have at least one graft take when you do it that way. I showed you guys that 1, 2, and 3 labeled one with the 2 Neil Peterson and the 1 whatever the other one was. And one of those had just, you know, a little tiny bit of growth over the last year or two. And everything below it just, you know, it was bigger around, like trunk. But it just looked dead. It's possible that, you know, it has never created a root sucker. It's possible it never will. It's possible that that plant is going to decline until it's dead. And that top graft, if we cannot get a backup of it, is just going to be lost. We tried to graft it, as I said, last year. We may see if it gets more growth this year or what, but if you cannot get those root suckers to form, that's probably a bad indicator that it, you know, something is unhealthy with the tree, something in the ground it doesn't like. And we did look up like camphors. Camphors do have like a chemical property that's supposed to suppress or hurt the growth of certain types of trees and plants, maybe with pawpaws. But again, we have a root dense area with a lot of sweet gums, and like I said, the camphors, and maybe a few red maples, and they may just not like that. So it's been another day or so since we did any filming here, and I went ahead and did a Capri Sun. No, wait till dinner. And there's always distractions. You hear me say that all the time in these videos. Another day since I've filmed, and I ended up going ahead and placing an order at Fruitwood Nurseries for just miscellaneous stuff. I'm not going to go into every like cultivar and stuff I got, but we did a few persimmons, persimmon rootstocks, couple medlars, I think, a few palms, mulberry, and I think autumn olive, and also a Chinese hawthorn, scion, and one more thing, a pomegranate that is already, you know, a plug that's already been rooted, so it's got roots on it. Pretty much all of the loquats are gone from the side already. Pretty much all of the pawpaws are gone, besides the stuff that's just been available for years and years and years that just doesn't have a big demand anymore. You guys might be thinking, well, or questioning, well, if you guys are doing a soft closing, why does it... Oh my God, there it is again. Look who it is. Somebody wants to interrupt our video, huh? Very hard to make a vlog around here, anything without somebody disrupting the video, right? Okay, so I'm sure, even though I'm back now, it's probably not for long. So yeah, soft closing. Yeah, it's a big thing to like place 2 orders and get some major grafting and stuff like that done. But I gotta think that, you know, it only comes around, these opportunities, a short period in the season when everything, you know, half of everything is already gone, if not 3/4. So you gotta grab it, you know, when opportunity knocks. And after that, it's just, you know, sit and wait, you know, wait till warm weather, wait to see what, you know, takes or seems to take, what dies, you know, and obviously we got some more cuttings and all to try to root and stuff like that, but for the most part we'll be done for the season after all these things are grafted. You got there, you're moving it all around. I can't see it. That's a Sonic smartwatch. Look at there, isn't that cool?